Yo, what's up? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship at the altar of radness. We got a returning guest with us this week, Alex Teyen. What is up, brother?
What up, what up, what up? It's Big Green, the terrible lizard, coming at you with that undeniable scream. Hit that radiation button, subscribe. Yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's been a hot minute.
How are you?
Really good, mate. Yeah, really good. Good things been happening in my life.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely, mate. You got done a little marriage. That's bloody lovely.
I did, yeah. To the absolute love of my life. Couldn't be happier. Could be happier if she was in England. That'd be great. That's the plan eventually.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I can imagine having an ocean between you and your other half isn't the best.
Yeah, mate, I do miss her. Like we spent every day 3 months together, and that fucking wasn't enough. Do you know what I mean? So that's how you know it's real.
Yeah, mate, it was such a joy just to see your stories all the time and like see you over there. Obviously, like, you know, we've known you for a long time now, and like just seeing you go over there and like have an absolute ball and finally meet your good lady, and then like the marriage and stuff. Like it was a really nice to spectate upon that.
Thank you.
My cold dead heart. It was beautiful.
I did. I got a lot of messages from people saying that exact thing, and it was lovely. It's really nice to see people cared, and that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's cool. Really pleased for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely sick. So you're probably wondering why me and Gary are
got my finest non-black item of clothing on. My only one.
Yeah. Singular non-black item of clothing.
You both look like you work in a cocktail bar. And I would know.
Like
yeah, you're the expert. So
you're the cocktail king.
Yeah.
Club Tropicana, that's where I work, mate.
So we asked Alex back because we had an idea to do something fun with the podcast for a little bit. Obviously, we usually do our weekly worship where we talk about new music, but since getting into the old YouTube videos and stuff, it's been wanting to get our teeth into like a bit of a fun, cool project, and I had an idea for Deathcore Summer. Deathcore Summer, mate. That's
my kind of summer. That
the weather has just been has turned actually quite nice in England, so it is officially summer. I mean, I don't know when summer really starts, but as soon as the weather's not complete dog shit in England, I'm calling it summer.
Yeah, because you don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah, it could be. You could have the last day of it tomorrow, so you got to make most of it while it's around.
Yeah, it could be a 72-hour window. You never know.
Yeah. You got to take it while the going's good.
Yeah, we have to work pretty quick if we want to get done in the summer.
So what I wanted to do is do a little video series on Myspace Deathcore. And I thought the best way to do that was to sort of answer the question, what is the greatest Myspace Deathcore record? And we're going to be doing that over a bunch of videos. We're going to be doing matchups. We're going to get a bracket going. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. We're going to really break down these records and pit them against each other to see what is the ultimate record. And I thought, like, who better of a deathcore correspondent than to pull in Alex to just sort of give his blessing to the proceedings, to oversee the bracket. We'll run the bands past him to make sure we've not missed any absolute bangers.
Yeah, we need you as an independent adjudicator, because do you remember when we did like the Big Four and we got everyone was just like, what? Because we based it on entirely on our own tastes and not on like the kind of we had no objectivity at all, and I think we kind of wanted to set up a bit of objectivity, which is why we were like, we need to bring in a third party. So that's you, sir.
Honestly, if you'd have said to young Alex in 2006 or 7, in over a decade, you get brought on as a Myspace Deathcore adjudicator, I'd have fucking spat.
Hell yeah.
Back before fucking deathcore was even a word back then, I think.
Yeah, I hadn't even come up with the idea of it yet.
Absolutely. And that's why I thought it'd be a good fun thing to dive into, because it's a period that we all lived through. We saw it rise, we've seen it evolve, we've seen bands come into the genre, transcend the genre, return to the genre. There's also, there's a real MySpace Deathcore revival in like some brilliant bands that are out there, like Psycho Frame, Tracheotomy, Killing of a Sacred Deer, loads of other bands like doing this like just old school shit, just back to being hard as hell. And I think it's, I think this is a question that needs answering. People need to know, what is the ultimate. I mean, yeah, so I was looking through. Basically, the first thing we want to do is like we just got a list of bands. Like we just started listing albums. And like to do a proper bracket, it needs to be like 16. I think, Gary, is that
16 to make it funnel down. That's what you need. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've got a list together right now, and this is the list that we're working through.
Okay.
So when we were writing them down, I sort of wanted to sort of get the criteria of what that is. And bleeding through This Is Love came to mind, but I think that is too early. So anything before 2003 doesn't really count as MySpace Deathcore. Yes, it was a Deathcore record that was released in the MySpace era, but it's not. It basically happened before the Doom EP, so it almost doesn't. It's not in that wheelhouse that we're thinking about. So I'm thinking anything pre 2003 doesn't count. So really 2004 onwards. What are we thinking?
What's the cut-off date for you guys?
So the cut-off date came up because as we were writing things down, Gary thought about the record Legend, which is on that list there, and that was 2011, and I think that's well too late.
I think even 2010's too late. I think it had changed enough then that it stopped sounding like MySpace Deathcore by then.
Absolutely agree, and that's why I've already got it as 2009 as the last year. Because so the bands on this list, so the Redshaw Unconsecrated came out in 2009, and Impending Dooms, the Serpent Servant came out in 2009, and they're sort of the last two bands that was that sort of, and Abacab Survivalist was 2009. Funnily enough, you'd think that was earlier by the sound of it. So 2005 to 2009 is the time frame we're working on.
Yeah, I would agree. I would posit to you, even though at the time that Impending Doom album was literally one of my favorites. I love it. I think that had already changed this when Deathcore started turning into what Suicide Silence brought forth with the adding the. I've heard it referred to as new metal elements. I don't quite agree with that. I'd say it was more groove metal elements.
Okay.
I would say,
Crown.
I'd say what a better MySpace Deathcore album from them would be Nailed Dead Risen.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, this is exactly what we required from you is to proofread our work. Because the other thing is, there's a couple in there. For example, one that I pulled up, which was Animal by Animosity, and Sonny flagged it up as being too chaotic, and that he's probably more mathcore or in that kind of that world with the sort of Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza than it is a deathcore record. How do you feel about that?
So this is where it could, like, a real interesting thing with like music, and you see it even with like bands today. It doesn't always matter what the band actually sounds like.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Around the band, like it happens it happens with like other genres, but like, how can I put this like in a clear way? Like, there's loads of bands that are thrash. And people are like, this is hardcore. They look like hardcore. They play to hardcore kids, but it's thrash. So are they thrash or hardcore? I would say if it's in the culture, then it's part of that culture. So I'd say bands like, I think Animosity, like you never saw a fucking regular old metalhead wearing that fucking famous gold Animosity hoodie. You saw Deathcore kids wearing that Animosity hoodie.
That is very true.
100%.
And I also like that you're agreeing with me that record needs to be in the bracket. So yeah, absolutely.
I'm into that, but then it sort of opens up some other things that might go in there, like Arsenic's Get All the Girls.
That should be in there, 100%.
Like I'm happy to put them in. This is why we're doing this. This is, we need to talk it through because at the moment this has just been bouncing around mine and Gary's head. So we can get them in.
Look, I think Shoe Shine for Neptune is like probably up there with one of the big deathcore classics, isn't it? That's hard to get all the girls, isn't it? Am I right in thinking that? Shoe Shine for Neptune. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. With is that the one with the bunny rabbit on the front?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Bunny rabbit. Listen to me, I sound like a child.
So it's 2005, 2009. Albums only. There's no point in doing EPs because Doom EP exists and it is the be all end all. Yeah.
There's Doom EP and Welcome to Sludge City were our two kind of EPs that we were kind of thinking to kind of skirt the list, but I think we should focus on albums. I think albums is probably the place to do it.
Yeah. And there's been some bands where I wasn't sure about exactly which record to pull down, and so I've pulled the ones where basically like the songs had the most plays on Spotify, just to like even out, so this is the list as we go. All Shall Perish, Price of Existence, Suicide Silence, Cleansing, Gotta Get Bring Me in There, Count Your Blessings, Abacab, Survivalist, Recon, Welcome to Viper City, Carnifex, Dead in My Arms, Despised Icon, The Ills of Other Man, Oceano, Depths, As Blood Runs Black, Allegiance, The Red Shore, Unconsecrated, Animosity, Animal, Elysia, Masochist, Whitechapel, This Is Exile. That was a bit of a toss-up between them, but I chose This Is Exile just because it's the one that's got the most amount of plays from that era. So that's
the same thing I said about Impending Doom, I would say about Whitechapel with that album. I think their real deathcore one is Somatic Defilement. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We could do Somatic Defilement. That's absolutely completely sweet.
Same question with Carnifex, actually. Sorry to interrupt. Same question with Carnifex. Is Dead in My Arms the right record to pick for Carn? Neither me and Sonny are particularly big Carnifex fans, so we're not really entirely sure.
I was a really big one back in the day. They're one of the reasons why I was so into deathcore originally. So I've said it before. Like back when music was harder to find, a lot of the stuff that I heard, it was like the very first top 10 most brutal breakdown videos on YouTube. And I remember hearing Light to My Face for the first time, and I was like, oh no, what's awakening here? But I think that one, I think Dead in My Arms and what was their next album called? The Poisoned...
Diseased and the Poison.
I think those two albums don't sound too dissimilar from each other, like the case with Impending Doom.
Okay, cool.
And then we've got Bleeding Through, which we're not including. Knights of the Abyss, Juggernaut. A Black Rose Burial, An Awakening of Revenants. Rose Funeral, Crucify Kill Rot. Eternal Lord, Blessed Be This Nightmare. American Me, Heat. Wolf from Harlot's Mouth, Transmetropolitan, Legend, The Pale Horse, and Impending Doom, Serpent Servant. Oh, Legend is not on the list. So
we're discounting Legend because it's too late.
Yeah. Yes. So that is the bands. That's the overall list. We'll definitely add in Arsonists, Get All the Girls, and whichever one else you said. But like, we're gonna have to get them. We're gonna have to get that list into a 16.
You have to whittle it down to 16.
Yeah. How many have we got there? Is it 20?
It is 24, 21, 23 maybe. Or 22. Yeah. That's numbers.
That's number wang.
That is number wang. So yeah, we've got some bands that we're missing. We've got some bands that we're going to add. We need to get them voted down, man. We need to get it voted down, and then we need to think about like what we're going to do comparing the albums. So I think what we're going to do realistically is we'll sort of do it as we would do a regular show, but we'll basically cover like a handful. We'll maybe do two lots of matchups per show, and we'll get some criteria. Like I think like hardest, like how hard the record is definitely should be a factor. I think the artwork plays into it 100%.
Artwork is definitely something we need to consider because a lot of those artworks from those days are very iconic. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to suggest production, but then I listened to a load of them in the last week, and I'm like, it's kind of unfair to consider production just because of the time and the era that they were all recorded in, when it was the kind of the switch over to digital, when everyone wasn't quite used to it yet, and everything sounds a little bit odd.
The production being almost like live production in a lot of cases, or being poor, is like an integral part of the sound.
Absolutely.
I don't think it should be
100%.
brought into it.
Yeah, the rawness and like, you know, some of the beatdowns, they're like flat as hell right now. Like I would listen to a few of them and they're just, but
they've not aged well, have they?
Nah, some of it hasn't.
No.
I was listening.
That's the beauty of it. That's why we love it.
Yeah.
That's why like
some of them, still sound
stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, some of them sound gorgeous, mate. Like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, that Recon album,
there's some twists and turns. There's some twists and turns that I totally forgot about. Like, do you remember that? Like, at the end of the cleansing, there's like basically a Melodeath song. Like, it's mental. The riffs completely changed.
To listen to that,
And so we're gonna have a lot of fun, man. You're welcome to obviously jump in on a few episodes, mate. It would be great to have you in chatting about a few. Like, if there's any specific matchups that you're interested in. So I think like what we'll do now is we'll get the list. We're gonna do we're gonna take this to the Discord. The Discord is gonna vote the top 16 out of what is proposed, and then we're gonna get the matchups, and then we're gonna do like, I don't know how many episodes it's going to take, but it's going to be fun.
And we're going to get our Deathcore Summer on. It's going to be lovely.
We're going to have a bunch of guests. I've already spoken to a few people. Obviously, Alex is here. He's keen. I think it's going to be a really cool little project, like a nice little fun thing for us to do with the YouTube. And we'll try and sort of make the videos a bit more engaging and get all the nice bits and bobs in that we've been doing lately. And it's going to be a good
been
little...
playing with some animations that are pretty amazing, so that's going to be cool.
May or may not have already created like a matchup visual that I'm really happy with.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So what stands out to you as the thing that you would bet on early?
The one that this wouldn't be my bet, but the one I would bet on to win would be the cleansing, because the cleansing is that's the poster boy for Deathcore.
It's a big hitter for sure.
But that's also like the obvious choice. And whilst it was the poster boy, and it is amazing, and it is one of the best, straight up Deathcore albums ever made, and you can't deny its influence on bands and stuff. Well, then how can I say is there other ones that are more influential? That's really hard to say.
I don't know if there is. I think you're right. I think the most influential is cleansing.
I do think
what is the strongest album? So that's almost also what we've got to get into. Like when we're talking about them, are we going to take in the influential factor? I think we've got to judge them completely, album to album.
Yeah,
apples to apples. I'm thinking The Price of Existence by All Shall Perish beats basically any album. Like sometimes I can still listen to it today, and I think it's just one of the strongest albums ever.
I literally did, and I had a great time. I have tried really hard not to think about it because I don't want to bias myself. I want to take it matchup by matchup and try and get to it in the most objective way I can. So I try not to think too much about which one, because I know in my heart of hearts I know which one of them is my favorite, but I don't want to bias my own mind. So I want to take it matchup by matchup. So I'm keeping it to myself for now.
Yeah. It's going to be fun, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
This will be a fun little project. It's going to be I don't know how many episodes it's going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's going to be fun.
We need to get it done before it's winter, otherwise that would be weird. I can't sit
winter
here
could be 14 minutes. It could be 3 months.
I can't sit here wearing this jazzy shirt and sunglasses in December. That's just not going to work, is it?
Yeah, awesome. I think we're good. I think we've laid it out. This is it. Deathcore Summer. It's going to be a fun little project for us. And Alex is around as the deathcore correspondent. He'll be maybe settling any ties that we might need or something like that. Like maybe we, you could make the judges' decisions for when there's like a particularly tough matchup. But yeah, I'm excited, man.
That's my pleasure.
Yeah, you're good every Tuesday for the next 16 weeks, Alex, right?
Every Tuesday.
Deathcore Summer is coming, mate. We should have like winter is coming. We should have like summer is coming.
MySpace is coming.
Picture of Ned Stark, but with great big flesh tunnels and a throat piece.
MySpace Invictus.
Right, yeah, that's it. MySpace Summer is coming soon, homies. It's going to be really, really fun. Deathcore is alive. MySpace Deathcore's back. Let's get into it. Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure. We love you lots. We'll speak to you soon, Lee.
Likewise. See you soon.
Take care, brother. Peace.
Bye.